The morning sun cast long shadows across the empty street as Maya, a thin German Shepherd mix, struggled to carry her injured puppy in her mouth. Her ribs showed through her matted brown fur, and her legs shook with each step. She had been searching for food for 3 days, but finding help for her wounded baby was now her only priority. The puppy, barely 6 weeks old, whimpered softly as blood seeped from a deep cut on his tiny leg. Maya had found him caught in broken glass near an abandoned building where they had been sheltering. She knew she couldn't heal him alone, but trust didn't come easily to a dog who had learned that humans often meant danger. As Maya rounded the corner onto Maple Street, the smell of breakfast cooking made her stomach growl painfully. She paused, torn between her desperate hunger and her puppy's urgent need for help. The little one's breathing had become more labored during the night, and she could feel his body growing weaker against her chest. Through a kitchen window, she spotted something that made her heart race with hope. A young girl, maybe 8 years old, was sitting at a table eating cereal. The child had kind eyes and spoke gently to a cat that rubbed against her legs. Maya had learned to read human faces during her time on the streets, and this little girl's face held none of the hardness or cruelty she had seen in others. Maya's maternal instincts fought against every survival lesson she had learned. Dogs like her usually avoided humans, especially after the cruel treatment she had received from people who saw stray animals as nothing more than nuisances. But her puppy was dying, and this child might be his only chance. The decision came suddenly. Maya approached the house, her body trembling not just from weakness but from fear. She had never asked humans for help before, but desperation gave her courage she didn't know she possessed. Every step toward that window felt like walking into the unknown. But the tiny heartbeat against her chest reminded her why she had to try. Standing beneath the kitchen window, Maya did something she had never done before. She began to whine softly, a sound that came from the deepest part of her mother's heart. It was a sound that spoke of love, fear, and hope all mixed together. She was putting her life and her puppy's life into the hands of a human child, praying that kindness still existed in the world. 8-year-old Emma Rodriguez was finishing her cereal when she heard the soft whining outside. At first, she thought it was just the neighbor's cat, but something about the sound made her look up from her bowl. Through the window, she saw the most heartbreaking sight of her young life. A skinny dog stood in their backyard, her brown fur dirty and tangled. But what made Emma gasp was the tiny puppy hanging limply from the mother dog's mouth. Even from inside the house, Emma could see the red stain on the puppy's white fur and the way the mother dog's legs trembled with exhaustion. Emma had always loved animals. Her room was filled with stuffed dogs and cats, and she had been begging her parents for a pet for months. But seeing this real mother dog in such desperate need made her forget all about wanting a playful puppy. This was different. This was about saving lives. Without thinking, Emma ran to the back door and slowly opened it. The mother dog took a step back, ready to run, but she was too weak and too worried about her baby to go far. Emma knelt down and spoke in the gentlest voice she could manage. "It's okay, Mama Dog. I want to help you. Please don't run away." Maya's ears perked up at the child's soft tone. She had expected shouting or maybe someone throwing things at her like other humans had done. Instead, this little girl was speaking to her like she mattered, like her puppy mattered. Maya took a tentative step forward, still ready to flee but drawn by the kindness in the child's voice. Emma could see how scared the mother dog was, so she sat down on the ground to make herself seem less threatening. She had watched enough animal shows to know that frightened animals needed to feel safe. Slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a piece of leftover bacon from breakfast. "Are you hungry, Mama? I bet you haven't eaten in a long time." Maya's nose twitched at the smell of food and her stomach cramped with hunger. She hadn't eaten anything substantial in days, having given most of the scraps she found to her other puppies before they had gotten separated. But even starving, she was more concerned about her injured baby than her own needs. Emma noticed how the dog looked at the food but didn't come closer. Then she saw how carefully the mother held the puppy, and Emma understood. This wasn't just about hunger. This was about a mother trying to save her child, just like Emma's own mother would do for her. "You want help for your baby, don't you?" Emma whispered, her eyes filling with tears. She had never seen such pure love and desperation in any creature's eyes before, and it touched something deep in her 8-year-old heart. Emma knew she needed help, but she was afraid to leave the mother dog alone. What if she ran away while Emma was getting her parents? What if the puppy got worse? The little girl's mind raced as she tried to figure out what to do. "Mom! Dad?" Emma called toward the house, never taking her eyes off the dogs. "Come quick. But come slow and quiet." Inside the house, Maria Rodriguez was washing dishes when she heard her daughter's urgent but controlled voice. Something in Emma's tone made Maria dry her hands quickly and walk outside, followed by her husband Carlos, who had been reading the morning paper. When Maria saw the scene in their backyard, her heart broke. As a mother herself, she immediately understood what was happening. This wasn't just a stray dog begging for food. This was a desperate mother trying to save her dying baby, and she had chosen to trust their family with the most precious thing in her world. "Dios mío," Maria whispered, covering her mouth with her hands. Carlos stood beside her, equally moved by the sight of the struggling mother dog. Maya tensed when she saw the adults, every muscle in her body preparing to run. Adult humans had been cruel to her before, and her instinct was to protect her puppy by escaping. But Emma quickly moved between her parents and the dogs. "Please don't scare her away," Emma pleaded. "She's asking for our help. Look how carefully she's holding her baby." Carlos knelt down beside his daughter, speaking in the same gentle tone Emma had used. As a construction worker, his hands were rough and his voice usually loud, but something about this moment made him softer than Emma had ever seen him. "She's very sick, mija," Carlos said quietly. "The little one needs a doctor for animals. A veterinarian." Maria was already thinking ahead. "The emergency animal hospital is 20 minutes away, but I don't know if we can get her in the car. She's so scared." Maya listened to their voices, trying to understand their intentions. These humans weren't yelling or making threatening movements. The child had offered her food, and now the adults seemed concerned about her puppy. Could she really trust them? The puppy in her mouth whimpered again, weaker than before. Maya felt his little body growing heavier, and panic shot through her heart. She didn't have time to be cautious anymore. Her baby was dying, and these might be the only humans willing to help. In a moment that would change all their lives, Maya took 3 slow steps toward the family. She gently placed her puppy on the ground in front of Emma, then stepped back and looked directly into the little girl's eyes. It was a gesture of complete trust, a mother placing her dying child in the hands of strangers because she had no other choice. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she understood the tremendous faith this mother dog was placing in her family. The weight of that trust felt enormous on her small shoulders. The drive to the animal hospital felt like the longest 20 minutes of Emma's life. Maya sat in the back seat, her eyes never leaving the small bundle in Emma's lap. The puppy was wrapped in Maria's softest kitchen towel, his tiny chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Dr. Sarah Chen was just starting her morning shift at the Riverside Emergency Animal Hospital when the Rodriguez family rushed through the doors. She had seen many cases of injured strays, but something about this situation struck her immediately. The mother dog, despite being obviously starving and weak, showed no aggression. Instead, she seemed to understand that these humans were trying to help her baby. "How long has he been bleeding?" Dr. Chen asked as she gently examined the puppy on the metal table. "We don't know," Emma answered, her voice shaky with worry. "His mama brought him to our house this morning. She carried him all by herself." Dr. Chen glanced at Maya, who stood on her hind legs trying to see her puppy on the examination table. Most stray dogs would be too frightened or defensive to allow strangers to handle their babies. But Maya seemed to sense that this was exactly where her puppy needed to be. The examination revealed that the puppy's injuries were serious but not hopeless. The cut on his leg was deep and infected, and he was severely dehydrated. He had probably been injured for at least 2 days, maybe longer. Without treatment, he wouldn't survive another day. "Can you save him?" Emma asked, her small hand resting gently on Maya's head. The mother dog had allowed Emma to touch her, another sign of the incredible trust that had developed between them. "I think so," Dr. Chen said carefully, "but it will take surgery to clean the wound properly, and he'll need antibiotics and fluids. The problem is..." She paused, knowing this was the difficult part. Emergency surgery is expensive and treatment could cost several $100s. Carlos and Maria exchanged glances. Money was always tight in their household. Carlos worked construction when jobs were available, and Maria cleaned houses part-time. They had been saving for months just to fix their own car's broken air conditioner. But Emma looked up at her parents with such hope and determination that Carlos felt his resolve crumble. "We'll find a way," he said quietly. "This little guy chose us to help him, We can't let him down now. Dr. Chen smiled, touched by the family's commitment to animals that weren't even theirs. Let me make some calls, she said. We have a fund for cases like this, and there might be rescue organizations that can help with the costs. As Dr. Chen stepped away to make phone calls, Maya finally relaxed enough to lie down beside the examination table. She was exhausted from days of searching for help, and the stress of trusting humans for the first time in her life had drained what little energy she had left. Emma sat on the floor beside Maya, gently stroking the mother dog's fur. Your baby is going to be okay, she whispered. Dr. Chen is really good at fixing hurt animals, and you're going to be okay too. You're not alone anymore. Maya's tail gave the smallest wag, the first sign of happiness she had shown in weeks. 3 hours later, Dr. Chen emerged from the surgery room with news that brought tears of relief to everyone's eyes. The puppy, who Emma had secretly named Hope, had survived the operation. The infection was cleaned out, his leg was stitched and bandaged, and he was receiving the fluids his tiny body desperately needed. He's a fighter, Dr. Chen told the waiting family, just like his mother. He should make a full recovery, but he'll need to stay here for at least 3 days for monitoring and continued treatment. Maya whined softly when she heard her puppy's weak cries from the recovery room. Every instinct told her to go to him, but she had learned to trust these humans completely. When Emma's gentle hand touched her head, Maya looked up at the little girl with eyes full of gratitude. The next challenge was Maya herself. She was dangerously underweight, dehydrated, and exhausted. Dr. Chen estimated that she had been nursing puppies while barely eating anything herself for weeks. Her selfless devotion to her babies had nearly cost her own life. Where are her other puppies? Dr. Chen asked gently. Carlos shook his head sadly. We don't know. Maybe they got separated, or maybe... He couldn't finish the sentence in front of Emma, but Dr. Chen understood. Life on the streets was harsh for stray animals, especially mothers with babies. That evening, Maya experienced something she had almost forgotten existed. Safety. The Rodriguez family had set up a comfortable bed for her in their living room, with food and water bowls nearby. For the first time in months, Maya ate a full meal without having to watch for danger or save food for her puppies. Emma sat beside Maya on the floor, reading her a story from one of her books. It didn't matter that Maya couldn't understand the words. The sound of the child's gentle voice and the feeling of being welcomed into a family's home was healing something deep inside the mother dog's wounded heart. Tomorrow we get to visit Hope, Emma told Maya as bedtime approached. Dr. Chen said we can see him through the window, and maybe by the day after tomorrow we can touch him again. Maya's ears perked up at the tone of Emma's voice. Somehow she understood that her puppy was safe, that these humans were keeping their promise to help. For the first time in her adult life, Maya felt what it was like to not be alone in facing the world's dangers. That night, Maya slept deeply for 8 straight hours. She dreamed of her puppy growing strong and healthy, and when she woke up, she found Emma curled up beside her on the makeshift bed, one small arm draped protectively over Maya's back. Maria found them like that in the morning and quietly took a photo. She knew this was a moment that would change their family forever, a moment when they learned that love doesn't always come in the packages we expect, but it always comes when we need it most. The bond between Maya and Emma had grown stronger overnight, as if they both understood they had saved each other in ways that went far deeper than just rescuing an injured puppy. By the 3rd day, Hope was strong enough to nurse from Maya again, and the reunion brought tears to everyone's eyes at the animal hospital. Maya's tail wagged so hard her whole body wiggled as she carefully cleaned her puppy and checked every inch of him to make sure he was truly healing. Dr. Chen was amazed by Hope's recovery speed. Young animals have an incredible ability to bounce back, she explained to Emma, who visited every day after school. But I think having his mother's love and your family's care has helped him heal even faster. The community had rallied around Maya and Hope's story after Maria shared it on social media. Donations poured in to cover the medical bills, and local pet stores donated food, toys, and supplies. The story of the starving mother, dog who trusted a child with her dying puppy, had touched hearts throughout their small town. But the biggest surprise came when Dr. Chen ran some tests on Maya. I have good news, she told the Rodriguez family. Maya isn't just any stray dog. She's a purebred German Shepherd mix with excellent bloodlines. Someone probably paid a lot of money for her originally. This revelation led to a discovery that broke everyone's heart. Maya had a microchip, and when Dr. Chen scanned it, they learned Maya's original name was Stella. She had belonged to an elderly man named Robert who had died 6 months earlier. His family had simply abandoned Maya instead of finding her a new home. She's been on her own for 6 months, Dr. Chen said quietly. Pregnant, then trying to care for puppies, all while grieving the loss of the only family she'd ever known. No wonder she was so afraid to trust humans again. Emma felt anger rise in her chest when she heard about Maya's abandonment. But then she looked at the mother dog peacefully nursing Hope and felt something else instead. Maya had survived the worst that life could throw at her, and she had never given up on love or hope. The Rodriguez family faced a decision. Maya and Hope were healthy enough to leave the hospital, but where would they go? Animal shelters were overcrowded, and separating a mother and baby so soon after their trauma seemed cruel. Emma already knew what she wanted, but she was afraid to ask. Her family had never had pets because they worried about the cost and responsibility. But watching her parents over the past few days, Emma could see that they had fallen in love with Maya just as much as she had. That evening at dinner, Carlos surprised everyone by bringing up the subject first. "I've been thinking about Maya and Hope," he said, looking at his wife and daughter. "They chose us for a reason. Maybe we were chosen too." Maria nodded, reaching across the table to squeeze Emma's hand. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if Maya hadn't trusted Emma that first morning. How many times do we get the chance to save lives and be part of something this beautiful?" Emma's eyes filled with happy tears as she realized her parents were thinking the same thing she was. "So we can keep them? Both of them?" Carlos smiled, and Emma saw that his eyes were a little misty too. "I think Maya has already decided we're her family. The question is whether we're smart enough to accept the gift she's offering us." The next morning, Maya and Hope came home to stay. Maya seemed to understand that this wasn't temporary. She explored every corner of the house, claimed her favorite spot by the window where she could watch for Emma's return from school, and settled into the rhythm of family life as if she had always belonged there. 6 months later, Maya and Hope had transformed from desperate survivors into beloved family members who filled the Rodriguez home with joy and laughter. Hope had grown into a playful, healthy puppy who followed Emma everywhere, while Maya had blossomed into a confident, gentle dog who seemed to understand how precious her second chance at happiness truly was. The change in Emma was just as remarkable. The shy girl who had once begged for a pet had become a confident young advocate for animal rescue. She started a small fundraising project at school, collecting donations for the emergency fund that had helped save Hope's life. Her teacher was amazed by Emma's passion and leadership skills. "She found her calling," Maria told Dr. Chen during Hope's final puppy checkup. "Emma talks about becoming a veterinarian now, and she volunteers to read to animals at the shelter every weekend." Saving Maya and Hope taught her that she could make a real difference in the world. Maya had become something of a celebrity in their neighborhood. Children would stop by after school to visit her, and Maya seemed to sense which kids needed extra comfort. She had a special way of sitting quietly beside children who were sad or scared, offering the same kind of gentle presence that had first attracted Emma to help her. Dr. Chen often used Maya's story when talking to other families about pet adoption. "Maya chose the Rodriguez family because she saw kindness in Emma's heart," she would explain. "But the truth is she saved them just as much as they saved her. That's what real rescue looks like. Everyone gets saved." The ripple effects of that first morning continued to spread. Other families in the neighborhood began fostering stray animals, inspired by what they had witnessed. The local animal shelter saw an increase in adoptions and volunteers. Emma's school started an animal welfare club that raised money for pet medical expenses. One evening, as Emma did her homework with Hope sleeping across her feet and Maya resting her head on the couch beside her, she thought about that scared mother dog who had appeared in their backyard 6 months ago. It seemed impossible that such a frightened, desperate animal had become this confident, loving companion. "Maya," Emma said softly, and the dog's ears perked up immediately. "Do you remember when you first came to us? You were so scared, but you trusted us anyway because you loved Hope so much." Maya's tail wagged slowly and she moved closer to Emma, resting her head on the girl's lap. Emma scratched behind Maya's ears the way she loved, and felt the deep contentment in the dog's relaxed body. Carlos watched this scene from the kitchen doorway, still amazed by how naturally Emma had stepped up to care for both dogs. "You know what I think?" he said to Maria. "I think Maya knew exactly what she was doing when she chose Emma. She saw something special in our little girl." Maria smiled, remembering that first morning when Emma had knelt in their backyard and spoken to a desperate mother dog with such gentle wisdom. "Maybe they chose each other," she said. "Maybe that's how the best families are formed, not just by blood, but by hearts that recognize each other across all the differences that might separate them." As the family settled in for another quiet evening together, Maya looked around at the humans who had become her pack, at hope growing strong and safe, and at the warm home that had replaced cold streets and constant fear. She had gambled everything on the kindness of one small girl, and that leap of faith had given her a life more beautiful than any dream she could have imagined during those desperate days of survival.